Dilapidated buildings of Mumbai posing danger to resident lives before monsoon. In some areas, builders ignoring resident pleas for redevelopment, while in some other, BMC hell-bent to raise old buildings. Former driver allegedly slashed the throat of South Delhi woman. Police launches a manhunt to nab the accused. 6 more suspects detained for questioning in the Rohtak gang rape case, but no one from the state government has reached out to the family yet. You're watching The Big Story. I'm Amita Balachandra. Straight up to the big story. Residents of 25 dilapidated buildings in the city of Mumbai's GTB Nagar are facing an uncertain future. The BMC, which is a civic body of Mumbai, recently served them notices to demolish their buildings, what most have called home since India's partition. Shivangi Shukla gets us this report.
82-year-old widower Ved Prakash Lamba lives all alone at his residence in Punjabi colony in GTB Nagar. He has been calling this modest one-bedroom flat as his home ever since he came to Mumbai from Punjab, Pakistan as a 10-year-old boy in July 1947, just 1 month before India's independence.
बचपन के तो हम इधर ही बड़े हुए. बच्चे मेरी शादी इसी घर में हुई 66 में. बच्चे मेरे 4 लड़की मेरी इसी घर में हुई.
That his residential building will be razed to the ground by the Mumbai civic body, the BMC. Ved Prakash lives in one of 25 old and dilapidated residential buildings in Mumbai's GTB Nagar, which houses almost 8,000 people, most of them occupied by refugees who came to India during partition.
मैं आया मैं 80, तो where I should go? अभी मैं किधर जाऊंगा?
The BMC, however, maintains it has followed due process in calling for the demolition of these buildings. Speaking to Mirror Now, Keshav Ubale, Assistant Municipal Commissioner, said notice to carry out structural audit was issued in 2013, but no response received from residents. The residents have not been doing due maintenance of their property, leading to dilapidation. Primary responsibility of BMC is to look out for life and property of residents.
Mirror Now has accessed this report, which was written by Keshav Ubale, who is the Assistant Municipal Commissioner, to Ajoy Mehta, who is the BMC Commissioner, which clearly states right over here that there was a notice sent to the residents of refugee colony on 15th of May 2014 to evacuate and pull down their buildings, which were in a bad state and which could pretty much collapsed at any time, but apparently the residents did not accept the notices. But when I spoke to the residents here, they say that they have received no official document or notice from the BMC. Now, as a warning step, the BMC is planning to cut water and electricity supply before they decide when to demolish the buildings. In Mumbai, this is Shivangi Shukla for Mirror Now.
Shivangi Shukla with that story. Residents of 25 dilapidated buildings in Mumbai's GTB Nagar are facing an uncertain future. The BMC has recently now served them notices to demolish their buildings, but they're of course scared that they don't know where to go, and this story has been playing out every monsoon, every year, and it's a perennial problem. In fact, Chandrasekhar Prabhu, housing and urban development expert, joins us on The Big Story. Mr. Prabhu, tell us this now. The BMC has served notices to these residents here of this dilapidated building. But first, this is a twofold problem because this land belongs to the central government. How will the state government redevelop them?
See, it's not an issue just of this particular thing. Let's understand this issue threadbare. Just give me some time, let me explain it. There are 2 kinds of dilapidation. One is a genuine dilapidation of a building where the entire structural calculation says that the building is dilapidated and will collapse unless something is done urgently. That's one section, which is genuine dilapidation where the buildings may collapse. The second, however, are those buildings which have been just bought by developers and they have bribed the concerned officials into giving a false certification of dilapidation. I have known buildings where a developer came into a building, repaired the building by spending 10 crores on the building, got a certificate from the Indian Institute of Technology, that's IIT, saying that these buildings are no more dilapidated and they are structurally strong and can survive for 25 years. Despite that, when the developer wanted the people to be vacated, he got a dilapidation certificate and demolished them. The trouble is, if you get a certificate of dilapidation, then you get extra FSI. So the builders, in order to get that extra FSI, create this bogus artificial scare. And people know that the building is not as dilapidated as it is made out to be, hence they don't go. So we can't put all the buildings into one category. First is the category where it really requires vacation of people because it is indeed dangerous. And the other category is the builders are working on it to ensure that they vacate the people.
But Mr. Prabhu, my question to you is this. In this case, do you think that these buildings must be redeveloped as soon as possible because they're dilapidated, or you think they're not?
No, I haven't inspected. I'm a technical person. Unless I go to the building and inspect. And earlier we used to inspect by visual inspection. Now it's no more left to the whims and fancies of experts like us. Now you have machines, you have sonography machine, you have X-ray machines which you take to the building and take X-rays of those relevant portion, and they obviously tell you whether it requires immediate action or not. So now it's no more rocket science of examining. But
Mr. Prabhu, to counter that argument, this story in particular, we've seen that it's been on since partition. We had a case study as well. So in this case, it's a perennial problem because every year during the monsoon, the BMC comes and says they will demolish these buildings, and the residents put up a fight.
Yes. I think in most cases, I don't know about this case, so I'm not going to generalize things. But in most cases, the residents are right. Unless the residents are given a guarantee that within a limited period, they will get their houses back, where the hell would they go? Mumbai housing is unaffordable. 99.2% of Mumbai's population cannot afford to buy a house. Now, whoever has the house would prefer to die under the debris of that house rather than vacate the house and go and live into, unhygienic conditions. So this is a social issue and needs to be tackled at that level. Now, in this particular case, if the land belongs to central government and there is no scheme of rehabilitation of the existing residents under the central government law, where will they go? The central government obviously has to tell them that, look, because this is our land, you don't have to worry. We will ensure that we give you proper accommodation. We will ensure that you are not dishoused. They have to create transit camp. I mean, central government is not God Almighty.
So then who is accountable here? Who is accountable? Because if the BMC is going to demolish the buildings and say that these are extremely dilapidated buildings, then obviously it's extremely dangerous for these residents to continue to stay here. But again, like you said, that they also allege that there is no word on the rehabilitation.
Not just that. See, as a technical person, I tell you, there is nothing like a dangerous building. A building can either be stable or it can be unstable. If it is unstable, it can be stabilized by spending some money on that. If the tenants are willing to spend money to ensure that building is converted from unstable condition to stable condition, there's no reason why you need to evict them. But if there is somebody involved in land grabbing, if there is some builder involved in ensuring that he would like to vacate people, then there is a problem. There is a nexus between the builders, the politicians, the bureaucracy, and sometimes even a section of media, which creates this artificial hike to benefit certain section of developers, and that's why the people suffer. And I have seen this time and again. That doesn't mean that the buildings are not dangerous. I haven't inspected there, so I don't want to make a sweeping statement about these buildings. But I say very clearly that I have known innumerable cases where the certificate of dilapidation has been given at the instance of the developer only to ensure that he benefits out of it. It's a land grabbing exercise, and we find unfortunately that the officers are hand in glove with developers in many cases. I have known all my life, I have seen such cases.
Fair enough. Now, this is one case where the BMC intends to demolish the buildings only. The residents are at this point extremely unhappy with that. But here's another case. More than 800 buildings in Mumbai require major structural repairs. Now, the BMC was supposed to demolish such buildings, but only 12% of such buildings have been brought down in the past 1 year. Over 600 buildings have still not been worked upon. BMC's latest data suggests that more than 50% of Mumbai's buildings are in dangerous condition. The residents spend each day in fear and are still waiting for alternate accommodation. Our reporter Disha Shah visited areas of Pantnagar and Ghatkopar where residents are waiting for alternate accommodation.
With another year of monsoon, the worry and the pain for the residents and citizens staying in the most dangerous buildings in the city of Mumbai is just growing day by day. I'm standing here in the Ghatkopar area, which is the second worst area when it comes to highest number of dilapidated buildings. And right now you can see I'm standing in one of the area, that's Naidu Colony in Pantnagar, which is the worst. It has close to 30 buildings in this particular vicinity with this condition. You can see that this building has been neglected for years and years now. It is a 50-year-old building, and this is the condition that citizens have been staying here for the past 50 years. There has been no renovation done. There has been nothing. Every monsoon, the citizens fear that the building will collapse any time. In fact, the BMC has issued notices every year to these buildings, but the residents, they fail to move only because they do not have any other alternate accommodation to go. So they just fear that the condition will only get worse if the BMC and if Mahada and if the state government, all the agencies do not act together and they save them from this horrible, horrible condition of living. This is Shasha for Mirror Now.
पिछले 50 साल से बिल्डिंग का कंडीशन तो बहुत कमज़ोर है. हमने ये रीडेवलपमेंट के लिए मन को दिया है, उन्होंने हमको पैसा भी दिया है, और रीडेवलपमेंट के लिए हमने उनको चाहा कि भाई आपके पास सीसी आया, क्या क्या आपको आया, कुछ म्हाडा ने दिया है क्या, म्हाडा का परमिशन है, बीएमसी का परमिशन है, तो हमको दिखाओ, हम खाली करके चले जाते हैं. वो 21,000 हमको भाड़ा भी देने वाला है, हमको डिपॉजिट भी देने वाला है. ऐसे हमारी बात हो गई है, मगर उनको अभी तक ना गवर्नमेंट ने उनको परमिशन दिया है, ना म्हाडा ने दिया है, ना बीएमसी ने दिया है.
कि समझो पेपर वर्क नहीं होगा, इनके समझो भाड़ा बंद करके तो पब्लिक आगे क्या होएगा. ऐसा तो इनका फाइनेंस पोजीशन अच्छा है, ठीक है, लेकिन बोल नहीं सकते ना किसी का कुछ हो सकता है. क्योंकि पहले हमारे बाजू में हम लोग का एग्जांपल है कि दीवान का जो बिल्डर है, दीवान बिल्डर, उन लोग ने भी ऐसा करा, भाड़ा देगा कर बाद में 6 महीना भाड़ा नहीं दिया, उन लोग का बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो गया. ऐसा क्रिटिकल प्रॉब्लम होने लगता है, इसके लिए हम लोग पेपर वर्क होगा ना तो खाली करने को कुछ हरकत नहीं.
डर लगता है क्योंकि कभी भी नीचे गिरी इसके लिए डर तो लगता है, रात को भी नींद नहीं आता.
हाँ, हल निकालना चाहिए सबको, है ना, हिल मिल करके सबको डिसीजन लेना चाहिए क्या करने का, लेकिन एकजुट नहीं होते हैं, इसलिए डिसीजन नहीं आ रहा है.
Now, this is BMC's latest data suggests that more than 50% of Mumbai's buildings are in a dangerous condition. Chandrasekhar Prabhu, this is a glaring statistic, and we've also heard residents say that they are afraid of staying in these buildings, that they want these buildings to be redeveloped.
First, let me come to the Pantnagar which you had shown. Pantnagar is a Mahada colony. Mahada has converted these buildings into ownerships. They are owners of their land. They have entered into an agreement with the developer, which we could see this thing. It is the developer who has failed to get permissions from different agencies. That's why they are there. So again, what I have been saying has been confirmed in this. It is the developer who has taken the consent. He's not doing his job. Why do you blame the poor tenants for not going? The developer has to do his job. Now, coming to your next question with regard to 50%, 19,800 buildings are built prior to 1940. That means the age of these buildings are a minimum of 60 plus 17, so 77 years. I mean, average lifespan of a building is about 60 years at the most. So if the youngest of these 19,000 buildings, 19,000 odd buildings is 77 years, and there are some more than 100 years, then definitely they have outlived their lifespan. So, these are not alarming statistics. We know for certain that any building which is beyond 80 years or 90 years is bound to be a weak building. So, BMC is not discovering anything. My question is, why pick up only those buildings for demolition which the developers want to be vacated? Why couldn't the system have some kind of way by which you make the dilapidated building into non-dilapidated condition by strengthening it for the time being to ensure that people don't die, and find a permanent solution? The government has very clearly said that housing for all means the government is going to give a house for every individual person in this city. So if every individual person in this city is going to be given a house, someone who already has a house cannot be dishoused unless you have an alternate scheme for that. Here there is a scheme, but the builders are not doing their job, and the government doesn't have the gumption to act against the builders. The poor tenants are suffering. That's the problem.
So like you said, in the first case, there should be an alternate scheme, but here tenants are obviously suffering because of the builder. But what should tenants do in this case, because their future hangs in balance?
No, they have to file an FIR against the builder and say, okay, if you're not giving us the accommodation, you don't have permission, fine, come and repair our buildings and ensure that they won't fall. The responsibility is on you to ensure that the building don't collapse and we don't die underneath. And so you have to repair the building and make it in a condition by which it won't collapse till the time you get your permissions. Once you get your permission, then give us alternate accommodation, and then you are free to demolish our building. So this has to be in sequence. It can't be read separately. It has to be all seen together. There is a concentrated effort in Mumbai to ensure that the original inhabitants of Mumbai are actually dishoused and thrown on the streets, and that's what is happening. 5,800 projects in Mumbai are such where the buildings have been declared as dangerous, they have been demolished, and the people are now on the streets for 10 years, 12 years. Initial first or 2 years, the builder gave the rent. Now he has stopped giving the rent, and people who are living in proper flats have now to go to the slums because that's what they can afford. The builders have stopped paying rent. So this is causing real strife, and the whole community is being terrorized. This is land grabbing at its best. The government must step in and take some steps to ensure that the people who are residents of Mumbai are protected, especially those who have spent generations together in this city are having the risk of being thrown out from this city permanently. Nothing is being done for these projects which are stagnant for 10 years, 20 years. MHADA and government only calls the developer, threatens him, tells him do it soon, but he doesn't do it. How do you control this? Just take over those buildings and tell the builder all your permissions are gone, and government should step in such cases and help the people.
Right, the government must step in at the moment. In fact, here's another case. About 50,000 families in South Mumbai's Kamatipura area are dreading the monsoons. Their buildings are dilapidated and there is little progress on plans to redevelop the area. In fact, the Kamatipura Landlord Welfare Association claims they have received no response from the builders. My colleague Disha Shah gets us this story.
I'm standing here in Kamatipura, which is known as the century-old area in Mumbai, and I'm standing here in 170 square feet apartment where close to 5 family members they reside here. And look at the condition of this house. Of course, this is not just one house that we have visited since morning. More than 500 buildings and close to 50,000 families. It's the same situation all over where residents have been staying in homes between 10 square feet to 180 square feet. And of course, 7 years before they were promised a comfortable life with bigger space. And of course, but that policy has been stuck for several years, the cluster redevelopment policy. And look at this condition. Of course, that policy is the need of an hour. This entire building is supported only through bamboos and it is way more risky. Of course, residents, they stay here in fear. And when we spoke to few landlords, because there are 200 landlords who have been having meetings every week about the policy, but what they claim is that no builder has been approached yet to take over this project, to redevelop this project, which is the need of an hour. The condition, the situation is really horrible, and this is what at least few buildings in the Kamatipura, the residents have been facing. And of course, residents, what they tell us is that they have been staying here for the past 25 years, and what they want is now a comfortable life, a better life, a bigger place to live in. This is Shasha for Mirror Now.
कामाटीपुरा में मैक्सिमम बिल्डिंग गिरे हुए हैं, इसलिए ये भी बिल्डिंग गिरती है कि ऐसे डर लगता है। और कितनी बार तो मेरे सामने ऐसे गिरे, ऐसे से ये है सीलिंग ऐसे गिरे सामने, सब सीमेंट बीमेंट ऐसे सामने पैरों के पास।
बारिश में गिरने का डर लगेगा, बच्चे कुछ नुकसान हो जाए, किसी का कोई ये ना होना चाहिए। तो जब बिल्डिंग अच्छी हो जाएंगी तो सब जन अच्छे रह जाएंगे ना।
तो बारिश में सोता है ना, जब इतना डर लगता है कोई क्या गिरेगा क्या, और टॉयलेट में बैठता है तो बारिश आता है ना, सुबह में हम 4 बजे उठते हैं ना, इतना डर लगता है हमको बैठने को, ऐसा बाहर जाके।
Chandrasekhar Prabhu, this is another case where residents, of course, want these buildings to be redeveloped, but they've received no response, no positive response from builders.
I don't think that's true. Kamatipura, of course, has its problem because Kamatipura was originally, in the good old days, frequented by illegal prostitution dens and so on. There are good people also living in Kamatipura, not that all the people living are that kind. So it has that, it was never part of South Mumbai, and it has that infamous thing about it. So anybody, if you give an address of living in Kamatipura, it's not considered prestigious. Forget prestigious, it's not even considered decent. So the developers feel that in any case, if flats in Girgam are not selling, in Tardev are not selling, why would flats in Kamatipura sell? And illegal prostitution still continues on the streets of Kamatipura. Hence, it is possible that the builders may not be showing much interest, but that doesn't mean in Kamatipura, I remember that redevelopment of Kamatipura was taken up by MADA, and I remember a scheme was given to the people, but there was not adequate response from the people, because on one hand are the tenants who are staying there, on the other hand are the landlords who are the owners of those buildings, who want their pound of flesh. So you have to strike a balance between the needs of the landlord, the needs of the tenant, and the needs of the city in such. And a master plan for Kamatipura was made, and I think it's still valid. I mean, but the tenants are really not aware of it. If they can be brought together, Kamatipura problem can be sorted out, and I don't think there is any problem. So what if the developers don't come?
But Mr. Prabhu, it is not the fault of the residents if the builders are not showing any interest. So very, very quickly now, we have to quickly wrap up this show, but very quickly tell us, keeping all three cases in mind, what should residents do?
See, the simple thing for residents is to ensure that the house in which they live should be kept under such condition that they don't die underneath. I mean, if they really need to spend a bit of money on that, they should, and ensure that their lives are secure. That's number one. That each resident should take responsibility that his building at least doesn't collapse. And there are simple things that you do, like propping, like other things, which are not very expensive things. I mean,
so essentially, residents cannot stay in old, dilapidated buildings. They must make sure they don't. And if the builder is not showing interest, then the government has to step in no matter what. Mr. Prabhu, thank you so much for joining us here on The Big Story. That's a wrap on The Big Story. Thank you for watching.